right, I do believe we are live. Let's see. I'm gonna wait just a sec to make sure. Okay. So if I am live, and if you're watching this after the fact, I will have timestamps throughout the video, so that way you don't have to watch this entire live stream depending on how long it is. Yeah, and we're actually going to start with some shameless self-promotion. So if you're on Odyssey, I would highly recommend following me. And if you're not on Odyssey at all, it is an absolutely wonderful platform that you should go ahead and check out. Oh, one sec. I forgot to turn on my light. I knew I was forgetting something. This is my second live stream ever, so I do apologize if there's any issues throughout this stream. Okay, so the reason we're here is I just installed Manjaro. I did a video earlier today going over Manjaro 21.0, the KDE Plasma version, and in this video, or this stream, I figured that I'd go ahead and show you guys live that how I'm going to be setting it up. So I'm going to kind of go off and on here and wait a little bit so more people can connect over time. Dun, dun, dun. You're like 30 seconds. Nice. Okay. Yeah, so again, Odyssey, wonderful platform. I use it to follow all the kind of tech YouTubers, not YouTubers, but the tech video content creators. I'm not logged in, but I follow Brody, Tech Hut, DistroTube, Chris Titus Tech, all those guys through Odyssey. It's one of the better ways to watch videos, in my opinion. It's run by blockchain, pays content creators better, so that's always a plus. You're about 30 seconds late. I'm sorry, I do apologize. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do, which will kind of benefit you guys, is this screen is 1440p, so I'm going to make this UI a little bit bigger. So the very first thing I do, in Manjaro, this little taskbar is pretty small. Editing panels in KDE is extremely easy. So you just go ahead, you have your panel height here, and you could go ahead, bump that up a little bit, makes your icons bigger. 48 or 50 seems to be the sweet spot for me. So you do that, close it out up here. Everything comes back and you're good to go. Okay. All right. I'm still kind of letting people cycle in here. Awesome. All right. Now, disclaimer, the things I've already done to the system, this is completely vanilla how it comes out of the box, except for a couple things. I've already installed GIMP because I needed to make the thumbnail for this live stream. So if you're wondering, GIMP is my go-to image editor. I used Photoshop for the longest time. From when I was in high school, it was what you used. So probably from 2010 to 2019, I was a Photoshop user. It took me about 4 months to really get a grasp on this and learn it. I'm still not that good. The extent of what I could do is blur things and add like shadows and stuff. I'm not the greatest graphical artist. It's all about picking the right fonts to make things look good. This is the actual Manjaro font, and if you're interested in knowing what the font is for Manjaro, we could go check this out in my backup drive, fonts. Open this up here. It's Com4. I'll type it in the chat real quick, just in case if you guys want to know what the Manjaro font is. There you all go. So that is the font that I used to make the thumbnail, and that is the default font for the actual Manjaro logo, if anybody is actually interested. So now what we're going to do is actually start gathering some programs, because I have nothing on this. The other thing I did, I got OBS, because I needed to do this live stream. But other than GIMP and OBS, I have done nothing to this system other than update it. So we're going to go ahead and open up console, the default terminal for KDE Plasma. Make this a little bit bigger, zoom in so you all can see it. We're going to gather some software. What distro do you use? Well, this is currently streaming off of my primary machine, and this is Manjaro. So at the moment I use Manjaro, and I just came from Reborn OS. I was trying that out. I did a video on it a while ago, but I wanted to try it out again. It's good, but not as good as Manjaro, in my personal opinion. So, getting software. First, running actual system updates. You're going to want to do sudo pacman-syu and enter, just to make sure everything's up to date. I could have added packages after the fact just to make sure, and I do believe everything is up to date. Nothing to do. Beautiful. Now, one thing with Manjaro is they use the Pamac package manager. So if you go ahead and type in Pamac, it actually gives you everything you can do. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, it is right here. This is Pamac. This is the graphical user interface for Pamac. It is one of the best package managers available on Linux. Unix point live. Okay, so one thing that I always do, and I did a 10 things you must do after installing Manjaro video. So we're going to be doing some of the things from that video in this, and that is going into preferences, typing in your password. So I'm going to make sure you can't see my keyboard. Okay, good. All right, so we're going to enable the AUR. Absolutely essential. Check for updates. I also enable Flatpaks. Advanced. General, check for updates. Automatically download updates. I do that because I have pretty good internet and bandwidth is not an issue at all. So go ahead and close that out. And now the AUR is enabled. Now I could just get packages through this, but I do want to show you guys that using Pamac through the terminal is an actually, well, a fairly decent experience. So it's pretty easy. If you just type Pamac, it gives you all the commands you could use here. You can use it to search, list, install, reinstall, remove. So if you have an issue, you can just do a reinstall command with that, and that might clear up any issues you're having. Why no snap? Snap packages, I have nothing against. I have no. Let's see. Hold up. I have nothing against using snap packages. Snap packages are awesome. If you don't know, they're made by the Ubuntu team, Chronicle. I use snap packages on a little server I have in here, a Nextcloud server. I use the Nextcloud snap package, but I don't really like them on my primary machine. So, what I was getting at is Pamac in the terminal is absolutely wonderful. So if we just do like Pamac search KDE Live, it will bring up all the different KDE Live packages that you could go ahead and get. It's the exact same as just searching KDE Live right here. So KDE Live. But if you do prefer working in the terminal, it is a great option to use Pamac through the terminal, just like you would with Pamac. So you can see that the results for the GUI and the terminal are exactly the same. So you can, are snaps bad at all? Not really, I just don't prefer to use them on this system. They're Ubuntu packages. There's nothing, every different type of package has its specific purpose, and some are better than others, and like the, I know the OBS snap package seems to be a more up-to-date, because depending on what distribution you're on, it makes OBS work okay in Wayland. It just depends. But so we're going to install KDE Live through the terminal, just so I can show you guys how easy it is. And with the snap package thing, like I said, I have a little server down here that's running Ubuntu server, and I use snap packages whenever possible because they're just designed to run good through there. Exactly. So for me, like the Nextcloud snap package I run, that's really it actually. But any snap pack like Docker, you could get that as a snap package. They do run good, especially if they're on Ubuntu-based machines. Got Fedora. Nice. Yeah, the best thing to do with Chromebooks is to get rid of the Google Chrome crap and put Linux on it. Especially something lightweight like Manjaro with XFCE would probably be good on a Chromebook. Anything like that. Manjaro. I know the GNOME edition ships with Wayland because OBS doesn't work out of the gate. I'm pretty sure this is Xorg because OBS is working. I haven't actually checked. I'm barely certain this is running Xorg. If it's running Wayland, then that's awesome. OBS works out of the gate, but I haven't actually checked that. Yeah, I feel. Okay, I'm still stuck on this. KDE Live. So that's the first thing I get. KDE Live is absolutely my most important thing that I install. So you have options to choose optional dependencies. I don't need any of this, so I'm just going to hit enter. The thing I also like about Pamac is I always forget to do super user, so you don't have to. It just asks for your password after the fact in a little pop-up dialog like this. So that's how, this is the main way I go ahead and get software. Yes, a bunch of touches. This I'm not 100% sure. I'm fortunate enough to have a AMD graphics card in there. It's not the latest and greatest, but it does the trick. Actually, let's go ahead. Do I have NeoFetch installed? I doubt it, because I haven't done anything to this machine yet. So we just do Pamac, install NeoFetch. Oh, whoops. You guys get to see all my errors live. Enter. There we go. AUR head right away, repos, but Flatpaks. Yeah. Yeah, AUR ultimately versus snaps, Flatpaks, app images. I haven't even used app images, but out of all that, the reason why I like Manjaro and Arch-based distributions is that AUR, because you can just directly install stuff on your system and everything's there. So, this is my GPU. It's the, I think it's the 580, the RX 580. So it's like a $200 card. It's not the greatest. Well, if I wanted the greatest, I couldn't get it because everything, scalpers and all those people buy them up. But I really wanted the one that was I forgot the exact model. It's like $480. It's the newer AMD graphics card. It's pretty good. I would love to have that, but it is impossible to get at the moment. So I got KDE Live. KDE Live is absolutely go-to for me. All the video editors, another good alternative if you guys are interested. But I pin this to my taskbar, and that starts the package grabbing. I'm gonna ban you, Matt. Here we go. All right. So now what this actually is my initial setup. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and start doing some of the customization stuff in KDE. So we're going to go over to our system settings. And one thing that I've been using lately is the activities. Now, I'm right. Yeah, that's I got this graphics card a little while ago. There's, yeah. Specs offense. Okay. So one thing I really like, especially because I switch back and forth a lot between KDE Plasma and i3, the i3 window manager. So window management, KDE scripts. I'm actually not going to enable this, but the first thing I usually do, because I don't want to mess up the chat thing and all that, is I go to get new scripts and I install Cronkite. Cronkite is wonderful. I have a separate video on that if you're interested in Cronkite. It's a it adds tiling window manager functionality to Plasma, and it's super easy to go. I don't know if I trust this, but I'm going to. KDE Live is not KDE Live. Cronkite is absolutely wonderful. No LL cat. I'm sorry, but Cronkite is awesome because I really like the workflow of tiling window managers, but I also enjoy being able to easily switch from floating to tiling. Also I do a lot of stuff in the Virtualbox, and it just doesn't work that great. The i3 window manager and Virtualbox are not friends, so to speak. Let's go most downloaded first, and it should be like the third or fourth one. It's right there. Cronkite, we're going to go ahead and install that. I'm not going to go ahead and activate it and customize it and all that. I will do that later after this stream, like I said, because I don't want it to mess up all my windows here. So close that out. Oh, wrong one. Close that out. And we're going to keep that open, but one thing that we're going to go ahead and grab is Virtualbox. So I'm going to open up Pamac, add remove software. We'll just do it with the graphic utility this time here. Oh, it's a theme for NeoFetch. Okay. Here, I'm going to shut this window real quick because there's a train going by. I live right next to this big train yard, and when I'm recording videos, a lot of times I have to sit there and wait for like 40 seconds for a train to go by and then start recording again. So you guys are going to hear things in the background here and there. Just, it's not that big of a deal. So we're going to go get Virtualbox, because Virtualbox is another thing I use all the time. The first chunk of this video is going to just be me gathering software. Apply. Here you have options to select extra things. The only thing I really need is this guest edition CD image. This is whenever I start a video and I cut it to the distribution I'm going to be talking about, and I say I've already done this. This is what I'm talking about. It's basically drivers, display drivers, so you can actually set proper resolutions in Virtualbox. So I'm going to choose that, type in my password. I almost said it out loud. I have a habit of doing that. And it should automatically get the right, there it is. So this is important. You're going to want to make sure you select the correct kernel modules. So I'm pretty sure we're running 5.10, but if you want to be absolute certain, you go to the Manjaro Settings Manager. I talked about this in the video I put up today. By the way, thank you all for watching that. It's about to hit 2,000 views in the first day, which is awesome. Thank you guys. So kernel, and we are running 5.10. So you see Linux 5.10 there. So we just want to match that up, get Linux 5.10, choose that, apply it, and we should be good to go. And here you could always change your kernels. If you're having some sort of issue, you could downgrade, you can remove kernels. The 5.4 is the latest LTS one. If you're having issues, try downgrading to that and see if it helps. But we're going to go ahead and close this out. While this does this, I'm going to check up on chat real quick. Let's see. Have you run Grutta? I'm going to say it wrong like 6 times, but Grutta Linux. It's awesome if you have a really good machine. The only difference with that distribution, they do have a couple extra tools that are useful to have, but their theming, in my opinion, is a little over the top. I know you could just go ahead and change it, but for me, when it comes to when it comes to Arch distributions, Manjaro is just a good go-to, because I customize the heck out of it anyways. I might as well go with this. But they do have cool tools. They have more tools than Manjaro, but Manjaro doesn't go over the top with the graphic utilities that they give you. They just have that Manjaro Settings Manager, which you guys saw. Arch or Death, yes. I use Linux Mint. That's all. Linux Mint is wonderful, especially if you're on a Debian machine or you want a Debian-based. Linux Mint is probably my preference. Linux Mint is what I started on. If you go in my YouTube channel, you can see videos from like 2012 or 13 with me making Minecraft videos, and you can see I'm running Linux Mint. It's cool to look back on those. Hi from Mexico. Hola. Hola. Let's see. That's all I can say. Hola, and I can count to 10. Thoughts on GNOME 40? I did put up a little short video. It was like a 1-minute video of me going, just briefly touching on some of the big highlights. I love it. I love how they changed the graphical user interface, put the workspaces on top, the apps on bottom. I like GNOME 40 is a huge improvement. I absolutely love it. I'm actually running GNOME 40 on my laptop. I have a on my ThinkPad that I use that more than this desktop, honestly. I'm running GNOME on there. So that tells you something. Okay, so gathering software. The next thing I use all the time is Audacity. I either go Audacity or Ardor, but I'm still trying to learn Ardor, and I know how to use Audacity like the back of my hand. So this is a definite must-have. Apply. GNOME 40 by default is not on Linux Mint. I'm pretty sure the default Linux Mint distro is Cinnamon, or you have options for Cinnamon, KDE, and XFCE, I believe. Here, let's open up a new instance of Firefox and check this out. Because Linux Mint, I honestly would recommend it over most distributions, especially to newer people. So Linux Mint, download. Yeah, you have the Mate. I was wrong, not Plasma. They give you Mate. So, or Mate, whatever you want to call it. Cinnamon. Cinnamon is a beautiful desktop environment. Linux Mint gives you an option for Mate and XFCE. All of these are great desktop environments, and they all kind of function the same. Not function the same, but they're all kind of laid out the same. I do like Manjaro more. And yeah, Manjaro does have, not Manjaro, Linux Mint's been having issues lately with updating. I'm not sure the specifics, but I was listening to Destination Linux podcast, and they were talking about the Linux Mint update structure and how the user base that uses Linux Mint is very behind on their security updates and all that. Yeah, I thought they did have a Plasma edition, but I guess not. Anyways, if you're going to use Linux Mint, use Cinnamon because it's the default. It's the Linux Mint team made the Cinnamon desktop environment, so you should go with that. It's the best experience for Cinnamon. Using Mate or XFCE with Cinnamon is kind of like downloading Solus, and using XFCE, it's like use Bungie. It's what it's built for. You can manage to get any desktop environment on any distribution of Linux. That's the beautiful thing about it. You can get anything and make it anything ultimately from the point of the base. So you can't download Debian and get the AUR. Things like that won't work. But you can get like vanilla Debian and put anything on it. You get Linux Mint and put anything on it. GWM, I'm not sure about those. Okay, the live stream is titled that I'm going to go and customize this. So I'm going to get back to actually customizing this. We're going to start from the top. Well, not from the top. We're going to start in appearance and start changing some of this. So you could get new themes. I made a video. One theme that I would recommend is the, let's see. I know it's on the top downloaded. So if we go most downloaded first, Sweet KDE is good. Sweet KDE is what the, I think it's Grutta Linux, the one I was just talking about. It's basically Sweet KDE with some custom tools. That's it, really. But it's still a good distribution. Nordic KDE. This is a theme that I really like. It's very grayscale. Lots of different grays, but it looks really good. Debian version of GNOME 40. If you go into the bleeding edge repositories, you can get GNOME 40 on Debian, and you can probably run commands. KDE is fairly lightweight. I would show you in my system. So if I go to system monitor, it's running a stream, so it's probably not going to be the best example. But even running a live stream and doing everything I'm doing, I'm only using 5 gigabytes of RAM. You can see OBS is using 1 gigabit. Yeah, especially if you don't have a bunch of Firefox windows and stuff open, KDE Plasma is actually a lightweight distribution if you don't go over the top with theming, extensions, widgets, stuff like that. Sweet theme makes me dizzy. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's too much. Like I was saying, I like the Nordic theme. I like gray. I like bland and boring. This is like neon strobe lights almost. It's too much going on. Too many colors. I can't pick things out super easy. I really like just the blandness of Nordic KDE. This one's a good one too. I've never tried this one. It's bad. It looks good, but it has bad reviews, so I'm not gonna touch it at the moment. I really like this the Chrome OS theme too. This one's really nice, but I know you can change it. But when you boot into the distribution, the splash screen is a Google logo, and I'm not a fan of that. Manjaro is added. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know enough about. I know that is one of the better tiling window managers, but I'm not too educated on the manner. Whoa. Okay, close this out. So let's go ahead and enable this Nordic theme. There we go. And then if I go over to application style, we have Breeze, Fusion, Oxygen. One thing I end up doing is going over here and disabling the... I disable the actual title bars and all these buttons and all that, just because I use, what's it called? Cronkite, and I use Cronkite as the tiling window manager extension, and having these buttons and all this at the top is kind of useless. Let's go to global theme. My buttons didn't go in, so we're actually going to switch to the breeze dark for now. Apply that. That's another good. This is a default one that comes with it, so I'm also going to go down here and switch this back to the Manjaro. So configure application launcher. Here we have our icon. Choose, and I'm just go Manjaro. Okay, apply. There we go. Okay. Now, gonna check on chat real quick. Okay, thank you, Garuda. Garuda. Thanks, Mark. Garuda. I appreciate that. I've been saying that wrong. If you've watched any of the content I put out, when it comes to anything that has any questionable pronunciation, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. And I'm very sorry, especially to the native languages that the pronunciations come from. But it takes me a while to figure out how to pronounce things. Garuda. Okay, thank you. We're going to add some widgets on the bottom here. So one, I can monitor my RAM, CPU usage, as well as my CPU temperature. The reason I put that on the bottom is because when I'm like rendering out a video, I like to monitor that and make sure my CPU is not getting too hot. And the secret reason for that is I have one less fan than I should in my computer, and I really need to monitor that to be careful. So we're going to go add widgets, and the first one we're going to add is I think it's monitor individual core usage. This is what I like right here, so we're going to pop that down there. Whoop. Oh, there it is. It's already down there. Oh, I threw it on my desktop too. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to close this out. I didn't mean to throw it on my desktop, but it's there. But this is the individual core usage widget. You can see it's down here. It's really nice. It gives you a very beautiful graph of all the different widgets, well, all the different cores on your CPU. But down here is where I actually wanted it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the panel, and I'm going to add a spacer, and then I'm going to put this spacer right there, and then I'm going to add an additional spacer. Make sure this is still streaming. Oop. Having some minor dilemmas here. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna remove the spacer for now. I'm just gonna finish adding the widgets I was trying to add. Let's close this out. So I have the core usage there. Now what I'm gonna do is try to get a. It's 2 a.m. I'm sorry. I'm streaming at 2 a.m. It's very difficult to pick what time to do this because I have so many people from all over the world. A lot of people from India. India's the number 2 viewership, and I think it's like 6 a.m. in India right now. Yeah. I wish you could customize GNOME like this. Customizing GNOME is it's very doable. It's very doable. You can't customize it to this extent, but there's a lot of different extensions and shell extensions that you can add to really get a good look on GNOME. Add widget. So now I'm going to go ahead and add, I think it's the memory usage, and I believe we can make this into like a little pie chart. Yep, it's already how I want it. So we see we added the little pie chart on the bottom. And I am sorry, this is a 1440 screen, so you might have a difficulty seeing this down here, but I've added the individual core usage and the memory usage. And now, 7 a.m. in India, yeah, a lot of people from India watch this stuff, and I love you guys for it. I would love to visit India. India is a beautiful country. I am currently in the United States. I'm on the west side of the United States in the desert. Northwest, the Pacific Northwest. Columbia, beautiful. Folks, if you want the latest release, you won't get static distro like Mint. Yeah, what this guy said right here, if you do want the latest releases, you are going to have to go on something a little bit more bleeding edge, such as an Arch distribution, or even Fedora. Fedora should be shipping out. Fedora 34 shipping out with the latest. We'll be shipping out with the latest version of GNOME 40 in the Philippines. See, there's so many people from all over the world, it's so hard to pick a time. I'm sorry I'm keeping you up, Ahmed. Greetings from Germany. I would also love to visit Germany. Germany is a beautiful country. I was in Germany in for a layover. I got to walk around the airport. Wonderful people. Okay. So, now what I need to add to this bar here on the bottom is my CPU temperatures. That's a absolute necessity for me. And I do not believe the LM sensor thing is on here. So we're going to need to get new widgets, download new Plasma widgets, and look for the sensors widget. If you're on KDE Plasma, I would recommend you check out the sensors widget, as it is wonderful. So sensors, and it should come up. System monitor, thermal monitor. This is what it's called. If you search sensors, it will come up, but it is the thermal monitor widget. Let's go ahead and install that. 7:31 from Mexico. You guys are an hour ahead. It's 6:30, as you can see here. I'm going to be visiting Mexico pretty soon, actually. Visit USA. Yeah. USA is a fantastic place to visit. Don't try to visit too much at once, because think of the United States as a couple different countries. You have the west side, and it's a whole different situation. You could visit the Midwest area, which that's when if you ever visit the United States and you're not in the United States, visit it in chunks. So you should plan on visiting like the New York area by itself. Anywhere in the Southwest is too humid. I don't like it. If you want to go to the most beautiful area in the United States, in my personal biased opinion, that is the Gorge in Oregon. Absolutely beautiful. Lost Lake, Mount St. Helens, that area, gorgeous, especially during the summer. Right? Okay, thermal monitor. I have it installed, so let's go ahead and throw this on there. Add widgets, and we're going to put on our thermal monitor. So let's drag and drop this over here. So at first it will display as this icon right here, but we're going to want to go ahead and configure our thermal monitor. So this is the configuration for it. So we're going to add a source. And the very first source we're going to go ahead and add, oh no, is it not going to show? NVPCMI. So that is I might have to install LM sensors. So we've run into my first issue of the stream. So let's close this out for now. Bring all this back up, and we're going to open up Pamac to see if I need to get LM sensors separately. Add remove software. Exactly. I was really surprised too. The system monitor thing, this is super cool. In KDE Plasma, the new version, you could actually make your own pages. So like right here, if I add a new page, let's say, what's something I'd want to actually monitor? Well, I'm going to just call it new page for now, because I actually don't know. We have a pie chart here. So here I could go ahead and we have all of our sensors. So let's say I wanted to monitor CPUs. You have your cores. We could go by the watt usage, user usage, current temperature. So this is my current temperature now, and then I could go ahead and add, let's add another one. So let's go total sensors, and let's go to GPU1, GPU temperature. So now I have both my CPU and GPU temperature. Super cool little thing KDE, the Plasma team did here. That's absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to check something real quick. LM sensors. Let's see. Nope. Sensor. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Reload temperature sources. configure thermal. I'm sorry, I have my mouse right next to the mic, so I'm really do apologize if you hear excess clicking. This will I'll probably have to reboot or something to get this to work right, but we're just going to apply this for now. Add. Yeah, it's not pulling up my other sensors. AMD GPU source. Okay, so maybe because I haven't used this in a minute, so I do apologize. Tie-dye or T-dye. So that is what I'm going to go off of. Maybe this will pull my CPU. Show alias. CPU. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this. Apply. Okay. And you can see down here, maybe. Wonder if I can, here, let's magnifying glass. No, I don't have a magnifying glass. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. Okay, so you see now, this is what I was trying to do a little bit ago. I got my CPU temperature to show up there. So 60 degrees. That is beautiful. Thank you. I knew I forgot the underscore. But it worked, so that's what's good. It's already in there. It wasn't showing up how I expected it to at first. So that's good. So now we can go ahead, let's configure the thermal monitor. And let's add, we're going to go to group, and then we're going to go with my GPU. So it's this one right here. So now I'm going to go ahead and deselect everything that you may see. Okay. Apply. Okay. Actually, I forgot to add the little alias. So let's go back into the configure. P sensors is good. I have a separate video going over all those different thermal applications as well. So GPU. Okay. Apply. Okay. So now we have our little system monitor thing down here. We can reload the sources. So we have our individual core usage widget, our memory little pie chart, and our little tool to measure our temperatures. So that is one of my main concerns, racism in the USA with rising crime against Asians. I don't want to bring it up. Honestly, okay, it's it depends on where you are. The media kind of blows that stuff out of proportion. I might just because I'm privileged in a way, but I haven't witnessed that, especially in my area. It depends on where you're at in the country if you're going to experience things like this. I know where I'm at in the Pacific Northwest, it's generally not an issue. Yeah, I'll kind of leave that alone for now. But we have that. This is one of the main things I set up. Another thing I do, which is a little kind of tip I have, is if I go to Edit Panel, and let's go to, I believe it's More Options, and then right here we have alignment, so we're going to center it, and then from there we're going to click this Maximize Panel, and then there's a little thing over here that we could go ahead and actually pull this in, and then, okay, so let's close this out, and then you could see that my little panel, I pushed it in a little bit, so it's kind of like a dock now. It's pretty good. The media will always be the media. That is true. Most things are blown out of proportion, and yes, there are issues. Yes, most things that you see are there, but it's not as extreme as it may look. The United States is very safe, especially if you pick the right areas. Like if you go to downtown Chicago, no. But if you go somewhere like a small town in the Pacific Northwest, or basically anywhere out of any major metropolitan city, you're going to be more than fine. Okay, so I'm going to keep this open. It's kind of cool to have here our little thumbnail. So now we're going to go ahead and grab some more applications. Some more applications I'd recommend. Just leave it alone. Yeah, I agree. my primary OS of Linux is Manjaro. Manjaro is wonderful. It's worked for me. I've had no issues. It's kind of a meme. People always say that Arch-based distributions are unstable. Personally, I've never experienced that. I've never had an issue after an update. I've had other unrelated issues with hardware and Xorg, which is why I'm excited Wayland is starting to really pick up on development. But as far as just the rolling release structure of Linux, of Arch-based distributions, it's never been an issue for me. On the tech channel, personal safety, you'll be okay. Just even I said stay out of metropolitan area, you'll be fine anywhere. It's not bad. Exactly. Okay. I always heard. I also think. Okay. So let's go gather some more software because this is not nearly everything that I need on this machine. So we're going to go to the Pamac package manager, and we're going to get some software that you may have seen me talk about in the past. The first thing that I'm going to grab is MailSpring. Now MailSpring is going to be completely open source. It's not at the moment 100%, but it's pretty close. The reason I like MailSpring is I send off like business emails, and it incorporates tracking features. Now that may not sound good, but it's your tracking features. So you're just seeing whether or not if somebody's opened an email or not. It's kind of like you send somebody a message on a messaging service and it says if they read it. That's really the extent of the tracking features with MailSpring. And it's almost completely open source. And you see right here, there's an option for MailSpring Libre. This makes it so you don't have to have a MailSpring account. But the issue I have with this, last modified, actually got an update. It went a while without getting an update, so it's been updated recently, so that's really good. You can distro hop without losing data, but it's a lot I have to get into. Your home directory is basically all your data, so you could back up your entire home directory, have that on a USB, and be good to go. But there's easy ways to distro hop if you do want to do that. Yeah, I had a big problem with Xorg. When I said I had an issue with it, it was when I was running Arco Linux with i3. I'd get the screen tearing issue a lot. I don't get that in Manjaro. And there's a setting, or there's something that I did to fix it, but I forgot exactly what it was. Okay, so we have that. Next, we're going to get one of my favorites, and that is Fluent Reader. Some of these are Electron applications. I know a lot of people absolutely hate Electron apps. You see this is a flat pack, but I'm going to go ahead and grab the version from the Arch user repository here. When there's an option, I go with the AUR version, generally. Okay. I may jump back to... I've been using Cinnamon for Manjaro. Which is your main distro? At the moment, my main distro is Manjaro because this is my primary machine. This isn't a virtual machine or anything. And I do plan on using this for a little bit. And I also have Manjaro on my laptop, KDE Plasma, GNOME on my laptop. So Manjaro is my main go-to. I've used Pop! OS quite a bit, especially on the laptop. Pop! OS is a wonderful Debian distribution. Ubuntu is honestly decent, especially if you're running it as a server. I have a little server down here, Ubuntu server. Reborn OS, I ran that for about a month, and it was good, but I don't know, I just like Manjaro. I'm used to it. Is this... Okay, it's building. It's probably building it from source. Sometimes you gotta be careful. Depending on what packages you install from the AUR, it might build things from source, which takes forever, especially if you have a lower end CPU. So we got that. Okay, and we want Discord. I have a Discord server if anybody is interested in joining. I'm on it off and on. I'm not on it all the time. And you can see I installed this from FlatHub, or I'm going to install it from FlatHub. Yeah, Pop! OS is a wonderful distribution. System 76, they really know what they're doing. We're going to install Minecraft. We're going to install Spotify. We're going to install... Doesn't this already come with Steam? Yeah, Steam. So what is this? Oh, Flatpak. You got to be careful too, Flatpaks. But I don't mind Flatpaks for things like Discord and Minecraft Launcher, stuff like that. Spotify, install. Install. So we're getting all of our stuff. One thing that's really important to me that I would like to talk about real quick. Do you think it's a good idea to install Manjaro on a Surface laptop too? I don't see why not. I'd install Manjaro on anything. I'd install Manjaro on an old computer, a new computer. I like Manjaro. One thing that's important to me is drives. So I have a backup drive with a whole lot of stuff. Fonts, disk images. So if I go to disk images, this was a lot bigger. I went and cleaned this out. I had like 50 different ISOs of various Linux distributions. But this is everything that I've used in the last probably month right here. And then I have a drive specifically for Tech Hut stuff. So I have backups, backup. I have like every single video that I've ever made in a drive backed up. So these are all just the thumbnails. Dun, dun, dun. Pop! OS is Ubuntu pre-installed NVIDIA drivers, Windows, right? Yeah, Pop! OS does have NVIDIA drivers pre-installed, and it does have window tiling. Pop! OS is a wonderful distribution for those reasons. And if you have any GNOME-based distribution, you could get the Pop Shell, and that will allow you to window tile. There's two primary tiling window managers or extensions in Pop! OS, and that is the Pop Shell. And the other one I just talked about, it's the Material Shell. Those two are good. Linux Arch or Debian for a beginner. It depends on what you want and who you are. If you want the latest and greatest stuff, definitely go with Arch. If you don't, Arch is still cool. Stability. It's kind of a meme. Debian is technically more stable, and that's purely just because it doesn't update that as much. But the main thing I would consider when picking a when picking a Linux distribution is your desktop environment, because that's actually going to be what you're interacting with. The base doesn't really matter as much as what you're going to be interacting with, especially if you're somebody who is new to Linux. You want to enjoy the experience. Like if you're not somebody who's going to end up liking GNOME and you install, whether if it's Debian or Arch, a GNOME distribution, and you don't have a good experience with the actual graphical interface, you're not going to like, or you're going to have a bad impression of Linux. So researching the desktop environments, getting Virtualbox, playing around with them, that is probably one of the most important things that you could do. In addition, if you're already running Windows, switching to open source applications that are natively available on Linux. Exactly. All Linux distributions, not all, most Linux distributions are good. You should just pick what works for you and what desktop environment works with your workflow. How many people are actually... Oh, I got 91. Wow, there's 91 of you. Holy camoli. I did not know. Okay, what I was getting at is backups are absolutely important. The next thing I always do, it should already be on here, TimeShift. TimeShift is critical to anybody. Especially, the best way to use TimeShift is to have a backup drive. You could do this with, the best way is a backup drive in your computer like I'm about to do, but putting a TimeShift backup on a USB, external hard drive, anything like that is absolutely awesome. KDE Plasma on Pop! OS. Really, to put KDE Plasma on Pop! OS, it's just, you do the sudo apt-get, and it's like KDE desktop. So it's pretty easy. You just got to be careful, because I did a video a while back on how to do that, and a lot of people had issues with the window, the display manager, the login screen that I recommended. So just be careful. Pick, I forgot, it's SM. I'm not too familiar with the login screens, but there's tutorials out there. It's pretty easy to command to get KDE on Pop! OS. Just make sure what we're about to do is have a backup. Whenever you do anything big on Linux that does any changes to your system in a significant way, you should back it up, especially with TimeShift, because TimeShift makes it really easy to go ahead and retrieve complete images of your distribution. And even with TimeShift backups, do make sure that you have any like individual documents, pictures, anything important like that on a separate drive in the cloud somewhere if that's your preference. But we're going to select this 4 terabyte hard drive. I just got this hard drive. It's wonderful. So select the 4 terabyte hard drive. We're going to go next. And this is our selecting our snapshots. So how often, I'm going to check on the stream, make sure that we're not having issues. Perfect. How often are we actually going to back up our system? I'm going to do a daily backup. Keeping 5 of them is perfect. But in addition, I do want to have a weekly backup, and I'm going to keep 4 of them. So that's generally what I like to do. If you really, really want to make sure, you could do hourly. You can have it back up every single time you boot. But we're going to go ahead and go next. And now here is where you select exactly what's going to back up. I'm going to back up. So right here, it says include only hidden files. What it's talking about is you could have it back up your entire home directory if you'd like to, so that's all your downloads, pictures, everything. And that's dependent on how much storage space you have on your backup drive. But what it means by hidden files, if you hit Control H, this is all your settings. So we have our config, our KDE settings, and everything like that. So you can actually back up how you have like Plasma set up. So for that, what I'm going to do is, I'm so used to window managers, I have all these windows everywhere. Right here, I'm going to exclude all files from root, but I'm going to include my hidden files from my home directory. So that way my KDE settings and how I have everything laid out will be saved. So next, complete setup, finish, and now TimeShift is set up. I kind of did this out of order. This is probably one of the first things you want to do. But now that I have a lot of things kind of configured how I want it, TimeShift is absolutely important. So that is done, and it should start doing that automatically. So let's check up on chat. Same problem. My backup drive, this BREC asks how many terabytes of storage do you have for backups. I have a 4 terabyte drive, which is crazy to me. I just got it a couple weeks ago. So this is my backup drive here. Yeah, this is my backup drive, 4 terabytes. 4 terabytes is honestly more than I need, but I have a whole, I wanted to back up my entire media server. So I have movies, adults, and these are all my movies. Not adult movies, but these are, because I have kids and adult movies separated. So Deadwood the movie, if you guys haven't seen Deadwood, go watch Deadwood. So yeah, I have a whole media server, and I have that backed up, and I think my media server right now is like 600 gigabytes, and I do plan on growing it, so that's why I needed a big drive. But if you're using a drive specifically for TimeShift, you only need, like, you could get away with a terabyte drive and be more than fine. Greta Linux, if your system, like I mentioned, I'm probably saying it wrong again, somebody already corrected me, Greta Linux. If your system can handle it and you like how it looks, it is absolutely fine. I don't like it personally, just because I don't like the visual appeal, but with any Linux distribution, you could go ahead and change that. And they do have some good extra tools and stuff that you could go ahead and have. Hugh walks straight into adult movies. It's not adult movies, I promise. See, we'll go movies, adults, and then we zoom in here. We only got the goods. We got Back to the Future. We got Coming to America. We got Deadwood the movie. Lord of the Rings. Interstellar. Only the good stuff. I promise it's not that. Thank you. Garuda. Garuda Linux is a good distribution. I don't like it because I think it's ugly, but that is completely my opinion. I understand how you can think it is good, and they have great tools and all that. I'm just talking crap. But install any Linux because of too much code. That's my focus. Okay, so we made our TimeShift backup. That is absolutely something that is essential. And we've gotten my essential software anyways. If we go through, we can see exactly what I've gotten so far. Actually, I know we got GIMP, Kdenlive, OBS I've already had installed because I needed it for the stream. And a couple others. We got MailSpring, Fluent Reader. One thing I would like to point out, I never used RSS feeds. I did a whole separate video on this. So let's open up an instance of Firefox real quick. And a very good website. I know, I'm very bad at pronouncing things. It's Foss is a good website for Linux news, content, stuff like that. So what I do is go down, and there should be a little RSS link down here. So follow via RSS feed. So right here, oh, see, it tried to download it. So we're just going to right click, copy the link location, minimize that for now. Fluent Reader is beautiful because we could just go, where is it? Settings maybe? Yeah, source, enter source, add that in there, and now we will have our, yeah, no, I agree. I do not think the Dragonized looks good, but that's just my opinion. Like I said, because they're just using, if I hit get new themes, basically the Dragonized version is just, if I go to most downloaded, this is all it is. It's just sweet KDE. That's what, how do you say it? Garuda. That's what Garuda Linux is. It's sweet KDE with some extra tools. It's good. If you like that theme, it's good, but otherwise I don't see a reason to install it. Personally, at the moment, that could change. I'm not trying to talk too much crap. Best Linux to start learning Linux. Any of them, it's, Debian is the granddaddy Linux vanilla start. Most distributions are based on Debian. You could get Manjaro, any Linux Mint, anyone is good to start learning. Anything where you can jump into a terminal and start playing around is good. You bought a gaming laptop? Okay, somebody else. So I was saying no, I did not buy a gaming laptop. So now back. So this is the Fluent RSS reader. You can see how beautiful it is. And this is just its Foss. I'm going to go ahead and add a lot more later. But this is what I use to get a lot of the news. Well, the Linux related news. It's really easy. You can go see everything. It pulls in the featured images from the WordPress websites. So one thing that I'm going to take a look at, which I will give credit for them showing me, is I will probably do a video on this application here. It's a to-do application. It seems very nice. I used it for a minute and I liked it. I want to learn more about it before I get into that, but that's something that might be coming up. But yeah, this is very good for, I love this RSS application. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay. So, I'm forgetting something. And it's important. One thing for organization, if I go into my home directory, one thing I need to set up, let's go ahead and hide these files again. In my videos folder, whenever I make a video, each project always has its own folder. So I go 03, 0328, and then the title of the project. That's one thing I do. That's how I organize everything in here, and I have everything on a drive from, I was running Reborn OS before this, and I'm going to put all my projects back on here. So now what we're going to do is probably my favorite portion of the day, and that is configure my wallpaper. This is if I go ahead and minimize this is the default Manjaro wallpaper. It looks good, but it's not that pretty, but there are actually some pretty good wallpapers in here by default. So this one's a good one. I do like the by the water. This is the one I go with a lot. I do like this one because this reminds me a lot of, I was talking about Oregon and the Pacific Northwest earlier. This is basically what you get. It's very beautiful. But for now, I'm actually going to change this to something else because this might not look too good on your guys' end. Let's go with, actually let's go back up. Let's go up. Let's stick with this one. Apply, okay. Beautiful. As an alternative to Evernote, Joplin. 100% get Joplin. Thank you for reminding me. I almost forgot. Let's go into Pamac and get Joplin. Joplin is an absolutely beautiful application. If Joplin is too much, Boost Note is another really good option, but Joplin is perfect for me. No, I do use Cronkite. The only reason earlier in the stream I installed Cronkite, but I didn't set it up. And the only reason for that is like this window right here. This is actually a Firefox window. If I enabled Cronkite right now, it'd kind of mess up how I have things set up for the stream. But yes, I do use Cronkite on mostly every day. The only time I do not use Cronkite is if I need to float a window to run like Virtualbox. Why is this not coming up? Back. Sometimes it happens with Pamac, is you search something and nothing happens, so you have to go out, back in, research it, and then it comes up. So we have the app image. So we're going to go with this one right here, the non-beta. Build it, apply it, Joplin. I'd recommend Joplin if you haven't gotten the hint by now. There we go. So remembering commands for Linux. I'm not even that good at remembering commands. It's taken me absolutely forever. The main thing when it comes to learning commands is to start with general file transfer stuff. So just remember ls, remember cd. You got to remember some of these little arguments here, like this is your home directory. So if I ls, and a lot of the commands are pretty like, they're just abbreviations for what they do. Change directory, and then we could go into documents, and if you hit tab or give it a little more, tab, it will bring up what you could do. Learning commands takes time. You just have to actually go in and use them, otherwise you won't. And I know the commands for things I use all the time, like Pamac or pacman commands -syu, just things like that. But I'm still, if you look back in the channel, I didn't start using Linux until I've been using it 100% full-time for a year. So I'm still learning. I actually have a book that I'm reading. It's what's it called? It's like the Beginner to the Terminal or something. So I'm still trying to figure everything out. What is Joplin? Do you use it for note-taking? Yes. Let's apply the operation. I use it because I write in Markdown a lot, and it's a very good Markdown editor, as well as a note-taking application. Hello, Raphael. Use video for wallpaper. No, that'd take up too much system resources, in my opinion. Why is this not applying? Okay, apply. Building Joplin. I probably had to do it a couple times. Alright, let's go ahead. Let's try a different package. Let's go with the flat pack. Why is it 500 gigabytes? I'm not gigabytes. Why is it 500 megabytes for Joplin? That's madness. Let's go with... Here, when was this updated last? Last modified February? It's probably okay. Apply. Let's see if it has an issue with this one. That's the one thing with the AUR is it's individuals who host these packages. So sometimes they don't work, sometimes there's issues. Building Joplin. So that might take a minute. What's something else I need to set up? My KDE workflow is not too bad. You can see my individual core usage right here. So building Joplin, it's actually trying to build it from source right now. So I'm going to cancel that and then watch this drop. So I'm going to go back down. The AUR is absolutely beautiful, but sometimes You got to be really careful on what packages you actually select. Don't do that. I started with dep distros, got stuck with app commands, and used SUSE, Manjaro, and Forsoon. Yeah, the cool thing is when I used Debian-based distributions, I didn't touch the terminal at all. So I never actually learned well, I know the commands, but I never used the commands frequently enough that why is every package wanting to build from source? I never actually used the Joplin not Pacman. No, I do not believe it is. Let's see if I search it again. Joplin. There's a Flatpak. The Flatpak is what I was installing. But it's not wanting to give it to me right now, which I'm not too sure why. But I'll figure that out later. But Joplin, I did not a whole video on it. I featured it in my 10 Linux applications video, and it's wonderful. I wish I could open it right now, but something's not. Are you still live? Yes, I am currently live. I've been going for about an hour, probably another half hour, and then I will not be live because then I'll run out of things to talk about. Because the point of this video is I just installed this Manjaro distribution, and I'm setting it up for myself to use in the future. And speaking of setting it up, I'm going to go ahead and configure my workspaces. So let's disregard this. This is where it's going to get fun, because what we're going to do is go into the system settings, and we're going to go over to workspace behavior. Now with workspaces in KDE Plasma, there's two primary options. We have virtual desktops and activities. Down here in the bottom, it might be hard to see because my resolution's pretty high. We have our workspaces, so I can switch them between the two desktops. Most people know that. They give that to you right out of the gate. Sparky Linux, well, sorry, I keep jumping. I keep looking at the chat and reading. Sparky Linux is a good distribution, especially for older computers. I have an old laptop I can show you guys. This right here is probably the worst laptop in existence. It is I helped my grandma buy this thing in, I think, 2010. And in 2010, it was on sale for like $200. So that kind of tells you what's going on here. It's an HP Mini. It's one of the, I think they were notebooks or web books or netbooks, something like that. It is an absolute garbage piece of machinery. It is running a Intel Atom. I think it's a single core, dual thread. It came with Windows 7 Starter Edition, which, if you don't know, Windows 7 Starter Edition didn't let you do anything. You couldn't change the background. You couldn't change anything about the system. You could barely install software. But Sparky Linux runs very good on this machine. It is the only, yes, it is an HP Mini from 2010. Sparky Linux is the only Linux distribution that runs moderately smooth on this machine. I believe it has 1 gigabyte of DDR2 or maybe DDR3 memory. This is the most garbage laptop, but with Sparky Linux, it works. It's usable. You can actually open up a web browser. It's my it didn't work, but I got it to work with Sparky. I had my grandma mail it to me because I want to make a video going over Sparky Linux eventually, and I'm going to be doing it on this hunk of junk. But it's like, this is technically e-waste, but because of Sparky Linux, it will live again. So Sparky is a good distro. For sure. Okay. Why are you setting up Manjaro? I'm setting up Manjaro because I was using Reborn OS. Reborn OS is another very good Arch-based distribution, but I have a bias for Manjaro. I love it. Activities. This is what I want to get into. So activities by default, I think it's Windows key tab. So if you hit Windows key tab in KDE Plasma, it brings up your activities. Now these are your workspaces, kind of. You have your virtual desktop and your activities. They're the same idea, but implemented a little bit differently. So, and a lot of people I've noticed don't use activities. I like to use activities because then for every activity, I have a for every activity, you could have different virtual desktops. So right now I have one activity with 2 virtual desktops, which for me is not enough. So these are my 2 virtual desktops. So I need to create a new activity, and I'm going to call this one work. And for the description, I'm going to say Kdenlive, GIMP, and OBS. And this will be the activity I'm in when I only want to work. And I will give it an icon. So if I go Kdenlive, boom, okay. So now this activity will have that icon. You can set custom shortcuts to switch to those, but the Windows key and tab are the default. So we're going to create that. And our default, I'm going to call this, I'm going to hit this little settings icon. I'm going to call it Internet. And on this activity, I'm going to stick with Firefox, Mailspring, and Discord. I always put the primary applications that I use as the description. And for this, I could just use the Firefox icon, hit OK. And now, you saw earlier when I hit tab, if I hit the Windows key and tab again, it will actually switch the activity to work, from internet to work. And the cool thing is you could set different backgrounds. So on this one, let's say I wanted, let's go with something incredibly bland. Let's go with this one, apply. So now we have this Manjaro play background. And if I hit the Windows key and tab again, it will take me to my internet activity. So you can see, and I can switch between the two. I have work and internet. And then I'm not going to go through and at every single one because it's going to take me a while, but I have one specifically for photography stuff, one specifically for media. Activities are awesome because then, so if I jumped over to my work activity, within this individual activity, I have 2 separate desktops. So that is one of the features I absolutely love when it comes to KDE Plasma. It's beautiful. I love it. Let's see. All right. So yeah, I would set up more, but I don't want to go into all that too much right now. One thing, if you go over to shortcuts, you can customize the shortcuts for just about everything. So if I go to activities, you could go activity switching, and here you have your activate tasks. You could do meta plus whatever, so you can set it up just like you would with a window manager like i3 WBSM, whatever it is that you use. You can use all the same shortcuts and everything like that. And then when you add Cronkite, which I do have Cronkite installed, but like I said, I don't have it enabled. It's Kwin. If we go to Kwin scripts, you can see I have Cronkite right here. If you use those activities, so these things, if you use this with Cronkite and with the virtual desktops, you can set up KDE Plasma to function just like a tiling window manager with all the beauty and the settings and everything that the KDE Plasma Desktop has to offer. Okay, so now I'm going to check up on chat real quick. No difference. KDE Plasma, the app store for KDE Plasma is Discover. I don't even think it comes. Yeah, see, Manjaro doesn't include it by default. It says Get Discover right here. I've never had very good luck with it. It works, but I don't use it. Pamac and all those package managers work fine. Okay, so I'm trying to think of what else I need to do. We're getting to near the end of the stream, to be completely honest. But I definitely appreciate everybody that is here. It says there is 91 people. That is absolutely crazy to me. Open up Firefox. 91 people. How are you all doing? When I'm just about wrapping up, so I'm going to jump in chat for a little bit here in just a sec, and we're going to chit chat a little bit after I get my preferred icon pack. So let's get new icons, and we're going to go with, shoot, what was it called? Global theme, Nordic. So we want the Nordic icon pack. So if I go over to icons, get new icons. How do you back up Joplin? I don't at the moment. What I want to do is do it through a Nextcloud instance hosted on the VPN. That's going to be my preferred way to back up Joplin. But at the moment, I just drag the files locally onto a USB and kind of keep them that way. Or I don't have any in this drive to show an example, unfortunately. But keeping them in this backup drive is the move. Is it possible to write a config file for Cronkite? One thing I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to do what I do way more than I probably should need to, and that is to look up my own article on something. So let's go to techhut.tv. Shameless plug. Techhut.tv. One thing I am working on too is I'm working on a new techhut.tv. So this is wp.techhut.tv. It's a WordPress form. But on here, what we're going to do is go ahead and find my Cronkite article. So if I go KDE, where would I put that? See, this is why I'm working on a new site. If I go Cronkite, here's my video. There it is. So we want this video to configure Cronkite. I have this video here. I'll go ahead, post it over here if anybody is interested. But what we're going to do is simply pause that and then open up a terminal. So one thing you'll notice is over here, if I close this out and I go over to Kwin, which is where you add the scripts for things like Cronkite, there's no little settings dialog here. And that is no good. So what we're going to do is add one. So what you do is go into this video and then copy this line of code here, which will make a directory to store the config. Hit enter. And then we're going to go and add this one, which this will basically copy it over, paste this in, and that is all you need to do. So now we're going to have to close this and open it back up. So if I go into system settings here and I go back over to Kwin scripts, you can see that Cronkite now has a little settings dialog. Now I can't click it yet because I don't have it enabled or if I've never activated it, but now you will be able to do things like window gaps, configure custom layouts, stuff like that. So that is how you get the configuration for Cronkite. Again, the commands are in this video, as well as links to our Discord if you would like to join it. Yeah. So I think we're going to wrap things up here. I'm going to hang out in the chat for a little bit. So if anybody has any questions, if anybody has any comments, concerns, opinions, anything, go ahead and ask away in the chat. I didn't really do a good job saying what I was going to do in the title. There's still a couple things that I need to do, such as editing this panel and getting this to be in the center. Because if I add a spacer, it's crashing it out, and it's probably because I'm running so many different applications. But what I would do is add a spacer in between this, so then these system monitor things are centered. That is absolutely essential. Let's go through. I'm going to pin some of these while I'm thinking about it. So let's pin to Task Manager, GIMP, and then OBS. We can just right click on, hit pin to Task Manager on all activities. So you could have, with the activity thing I was talking about earlier, you could have different things pinned to different taskbars in different activities. So you can set up a completely different desktop environment with completely different settings using that activity thing. Super cool. Okay, what are the benefits of Wayland over X11? I watched a whole presentation on it, and I really can't get talk. It's better. The development for Xorg, I don't think there's anybody actively developing it. How Xorg was developed when people with like the big computers had display servers that needed to talk back and forth to render out very basic graphics, and people have just been building on that project for so long. Wayland is a very warmly welcomed, but I'm not educated enough on the matter in which I can talk about it with the utmost of confidence. All I know is Wayland doesn't work that good with OBS at the moment, and it makes me sad. And I do know that there are plugins and there are ways to get it to work, but I have not had success. One thing I'm going to do real quick is, while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and link our Discord server to anybody watching if you guys are interested in joining. So I'm going to actually go up and grab this link that I sent earlier. Oh no, I lost my chat. That's okay. We're still over here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and end this here. I do hope all of you enjoyed it. Please go and check me out over on Library. I would absolutely appreciate it. This is my favorite video platform. YouTube is awesome, but Library is even better. I'll stay for about 2-3 more minutes. We're gonna I'm gonna basically pay attention to the chat, talk to you guys. If there's anything anybody wants to say, ask, or anything like that. As far as setting up KDE Plasma, I have it pretty set up. I just need to go in and configure Cronkite. I got all the applications I need. I got OBS. I got Kdenlive. I got GIMP. I have Firefox. One thing I almost forgot, we'll go ahead and grab it real quick, is let's grab LibreWolf. I use LibreWolf for general web browsing. But if I'm in things I need to stay logged into, like YouTube and Odyssey, I'll use not this, not LibreWolf. So there we go. If you get LibreWolf, go with the bin package. Otherwise, it will need to completely compile the entire web browser. I'll have the same issue that we were having with Joplin a second ago. I don't want to do that right now. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Looking at why is Library better? Library is better because it is an open source, moderately decentralized platform. It uses blockchain. It pays content creators much better than YouTube, and there's no ads. Discord link, please. Sorry, I forgot. I don't even have my own Discord link. YouTube.com. I need to go on to a video. YouTube.com and grab it. But I just prefer Library. If I go over here, this is the video I uploaded today. If you want to check it out, thank all you so very much for the 2,000 views in the first day. Absolutely means the world to me. That is our Discord. Discord link, TimeShift. I went ahead and installed TimeShift. I was going through TimeShift earlier in the video. That is one of the primary things that I do. You can see I already have a backup in there at 1900. Very essential. And it's always best if you do it on a backup drive in your system. But you can do it on external hard drives, USBs, things like that. Do you think we'll ever get Microsoft Office native support in Linux? I say yes. I believe now is more possible than in the past. But even if we do, I would still probably use LibreOffice. One thing, it's not an open source program, but if you're looking for an application that has really good compatibility with Microsoft Office, WPS Office is a very good alternative. It's not completely free and open source software, but if that's not a big concern for you, it's a really good application. Other than that, LibreOffice is perfect for me anyways. But native support for Microsoft Office is unlikely in Linux. But ever since they brought over Edge, the web browser, I can see it happen. It can be a possibility in the future. All right. How does it pay if there are no ads? It pays with, they have their own cryptocurrency, and they pay with that. It's library credits. It's a newer platform, so they're able to do this. I do see them changing how this works in the future. But the main thing is tipping. Everybody has a certain amount of library credits. You can buy them with actual US currency, and you tip people. Instead of liking a video, you'll tip. So, and it's not much. It's like I think it's 30 something cents to tip somebody. But it works out, and it pays like a couple, I think it's like 20 cents a view or something like that. I'm not sure the specific numbers, but it's good. It's open source. You can see how everything works. The actual library side of it, you can build instances off of it, and Odyssey is just an example of that. And with everything, I'm still learning everything about it, so I'm not the... Can you please give us a tour of library? No. The library front end is going away. They're actually switching over to Odyssey, and this is Odyssey right here. Now, I'm not logged in, which I could actually log in. Should I block this out? Let's see. It's going to show anyway. Well, that's my email if you want to send me something. Okay. So this is Odyssey. So let's save that. And these are the people I'm subscribed to. So we have Brody, myself, which you can subscribe to yourself. We have Tech Tablets, DistroTube, Chris Titus Tech, Luke, Tech Tablets, Linux Scoop. There's a lot going on here. This is the homepage. The homepage shows everybody that you're actually following and subscribed to. I'm going to bring this up over here just so I can see what you guys are saying. So this is everything here. Over here, you can go specifically to just your following, whether that be ordered by trending, new, or top. You have things like big hits, gaming. You have all your categories here for everything. If I open up a video, so I'll open up my own just so I can show you what this looks like. Here is where you can either support the content directly and just give somebody your library credits. You can like and dislike here. This is the how much library credits are in this specific video, and videos get to like the top feed and all that based on how much support and how much donations, tips, and all that those specific videos get. Does it load the video faster, or is it kind of slow? Now, the videos aren't stored in the blockchain. The data is stored in the blockchain. The videos are on a server, but even with that said, the videos are a little bit slower to load because they're full quality. They don't have transcoding, so you can't just select it to go in like 480p if your internet's bad or not that good. But it's a great service. I'm going to do a whole separate video on this eventually, going over everything. You leave comments. You can like comments if you want to. You have your specific channels. So this is my channel. You guys already saw this. You can reshare videos. So you see that Tech Hut reposted this video from Brody, which the reason I shared this one is because he's specifically talking about the end of library and how it's migrating over to Odyssey. You could see like that one video that I showed only had like 15 library credits backing it. This video has 210 because a lot of people liked it, but that's just one example. But yeah, we're going to end the stream. I've been rambling forever. It's been an hour and a half. Thank you. Thank everybody for joining. 85 of you are still in here. I thank you all so much. Katie is such a, it's a hit or miss, definitely. yeah. So I do hope you all enjoyed this. Please go watch the video that I uploaded today, going over this as a from the what's the word I'm looking for. I'm doing the installation basically. It's kind of a first impression, but I ultimately know what's going on. Thank you all for thank you all for subscribing, watching this, liking it. Darth Weeb or Dweeb, go get your dinner. The stream is ending. Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful day and goodbye. I'm gonna wait like 2 minutes just so I can see how this filters. The stream is over basically, so just letting y'all know. I'm just checking something real quick. I'm gonna repeat my ending. Guys, okay. Have a beautiful day. Have a good day, depending on where you are in the world, whether that be the evening or morning. For me, it is the evening, so I do have a glass of wine. So I will be finishing this. Yeah, 7:30 here. I hope you enjoy your cup of coffee. Hope you enjoy your glass of wine. I'm just dragging this on. Goodbye. Ending, end.